the reading. I remember as a small child, if you can believe I was small, but as a younger child, how about that, playing in the backyard. And back then you didn't have fences, and everybody's kids were everybody's kids, and I was probably one of the older kids actually in the group, and more of them were like Jessica's age, a little bit younger than me, and we had a wide range of kids. We played all kinds of games. We would pick teams. We played football. We played baseball, kickball, tag. Ain't no barriers out there. We played all kinds of games all week and from one yard to the next. There were no barriers. We just played all over the place. And we played, and when it got dark, you went in. That's how we did. And we played all week. But as you know, things when you get a group of people together, sometimes will go awry. And somebody's feelings will get hurt. And then all of a sudden people will start saying things out of anger and calling names like your mama and stuff like that and talking about people. And somebody's feelings get hurt. And then ultimately you would always get that one sentence that would come out of somebody's mouth. And we all know it because we all grew up with it. And it goes, you say with me, sticks and stones, what? Make my bones. But words will never hurt me. Well, I'm here to tell you that's a lie. That is an outright lie. Words do hurt, don't they? And they can do damage. I don't know who came up with that. I don't know if they couldn't hear or what was going on, but words do hurt. And words are important, and how we use them are important. They have both the ability to be good and offer hope and love and life, but they also have the ability to be bad and destroy, tear down, divide people. They're very powerful. Words are very, very powerful. I know children today, I know grown-ups today, who are still living under the curse of things they were told as children. You're not good enough. You'll never amount to nothing. You good for nothing. You oxygen stealer. You know, all those things that bring people down. You'll never be as good as your brother. All those things. Right? But people believe them. They become ingrained in their head. And they start to live under those words. Right? And words come in all shapes and sizes. Here's some trivia for you. The average person, I looked up this week, speaks about 1,600 words a day. 16,000 words a day. 16,000 words put out a day by a person. And the most commonly used word is the word the. That's your trivia for the day. It didn't really have anything to do with the sermon. I want you to have some information when you left here. If you don't know anything else, you can say, well, I learned this week that the word the is the most commonly spoken word, and then we speak about 16,000. So you have a little trivia. But words are important, right? They shape us, they define us. And the one thing that all those words have in common is what? Once you speak them, you can never get them back, right? Once they're said, can't change anything. I remember the story of this lady who kind of liked to gossip sometimes. She had spread the word about this family and come to find out that it wasn't true. And she was sorry about it, but the words had already gotten out there and had already affected the family in a negative way. And so she went to the neighboring village that shared a wise man up on this mountain. And she went up there and she saw the wise man. She said, how can I fix this? And he said, go back to your village and kill all your chickens. And pluck all their feathers off. And then come back and see me. And as you come back to see me, take the feathers and scatter them along the road. So the lady went back and she killed all the chickens. And she plucked the feathers off one by one. And she put them in a bag. And she began her journey back to see the wise man. And as she did, she threw the feathers along the road. One handful at a time. Out of the bag. And she got to the wise man and she said, I've done what you said. I have gone home, I have killed the chickens. I have plucked every feather from their bodies. I have come back, and on the way back, I have spread those feathers along the road. Now tell me, what else do I need to do to make this right. He said, you need to go gather all those feathers. And she said, what? You just kind of like, with your face, go, what? What? Yes, you need to go gather all those feathers back up. And she said, you can't gather all those feathers up. The wind's blowing. They're scattered all over the world by now. I can never gather those feathers back. And he said, and so it is with your words. You've released them. And they've spread throughout the world. And you'll never be able to get them back. And the woman left sad. Because she couldn't change what she had said. Sad, isn't it, when we say things that we wish we could get back? Anybody here ever said anything? Don't raise your hand. Anybody here ever said anything you wish you could get back? I wish I had a book to tell you all the things that I've said that I wish I could get back. Anybody here ever said anything out of anger that you wish you could get back? Sadly, there's no time machine. You cannot go back. You cannot get those words back. Because once they're spoken, they're out there. Whether you said them when you're mad, whether you just didn't think before you said them, I don't know. But there is no magic machine that can get them back for you. That's why we need to be wise, when we say. Proverbs, I think it's 18:20, somewhere in there, tells us that words have the power of life and death. You know, your words are that important. They can bring life or they can bring death. You can actually destroy a person with your words. It's that easy. They're that powerful. More powerful than a sword. More powerful than a gun. Words are very powerful. You know that if they've ever been used against you. Correct? You may not think about them when you say them, but you know it when they're used against you. Because they hurt you. And they're hard to defend against, right? You know, a lot of times we'll say things that we say to somebody now, but we wouldn't say it to their face, right? But we don't mind saying it when they're not there. We think they're not there, right? We think they're not listening. I reminded of a story of a young man who was working in a produce department, a grocery store, and a lady came up and said, I wonder if I could buy half a head of lettuce. And he said, what? She said, yeah, I'd like to buy half a head of lettuce. He said, ma'am, God grows them in whole heads, and that's how we sell them. She said, but I've been shopping here for years, and can't you do something for me? I just like a half a head of lettuce. It's just me. I don't need a whole head of lettuce. Can you just sell me a half of lettuce? He said, man, we don't sell half heads of lettuce. She said, but I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll go talk to the manager if you like. And she said, well, that'd be great. Can you go do that for me? So he said, okay. And he walked up to the manager. He said, Bill, you ain't gonna believe this. This idiotic woman back here wants to buy half a head of lettuce. And then with that, the manager kind of said, she's singing. She's right behind you. And without losing a heartbeat, the young man said, and this woman here would like to buy the other half. When we know somebody's there, we kind of change the way we talk, don't we? Kind of changes our disposition a little bit. James tells us we need to be quick to hear, but slow to speak and slow to anger. That means we need to think before we speak, right? You need to engage your mind before you engage your mouth. Because when you're angry, just like any other time, the tongue's a wet place. The words just slip out. Before you even know it, you've said something, you wish you could get it back, but you can't. And we need to be mindful of what we say. Because we learned in today's scripture, James is talking about taming the tongue. He talks about it, compares it. He lets us know that basically that words can do a lot of things. And one of the things they can do is direct, right? He talks about a boat, right? Anybody here ever been on a cruise ship? How big those boats are? It's like a floating city. They're so big. But yet they're controlled, their direction, they're controlled by what? Two comparatively small rudders that direct the boat. Pushes that whole big city where it wants to go. Something very small. And in the same way, what he's saying is, just like the ships of that day, he said, your words direct people. They can move, right? You ever been to a speech and you got all fired up? Somebody said some words that got you going. They conquered the world. You ever been to a sermon? Every Sunday you get a sermon like that here. But I mean, besides in church, have you ever been somewhere where you had somebody say words that got you so fired up and moved you? Right? Words can move you. They can get in your head. Right? Why do you think companies spend so much money, millions of dollars, on jingles and slogans to get you to remember their product when you go to the grocery store, right? Because they're there to move you. Those words move you towards their product, right? Words direct. I can remember years ago, I was in my late 30s at the time. I played church league basketball for years, and that was getting into my twilight years of basketball, so to speak, at 39. And I always had younger guys coming into the fold because in the other churches, and I can remember playing this one team, and they put this young man. He was probably in his early 20s, maybe 21. He was an athletic guy, and come to find out later, he was a quarterback for his high school team. So an athletic guy, and they put him on me, and I'm 39. And I'm not in the best shape, that I could have been. But I learned a long time ago from my dad that there's a lot of ways to win a competition. So if you can get in someone's mind, then you control the outcome. He taught me that on a ping pong table. But as this young man walked up to guard me, I decided, since I was at a disadvantage, I would employ this strategy. Plus, I always like to talk a little smack. And so I said, you're the best to have. You're the best to have to guard me. Really? And I just chuckled a little bit and didn't say anything else. And the first time down the court, the ball came to me, and I put a move on him. And yeah, so sometimes that, when you're doing well, it plays into your hand. So I hit a jump shot. And I shook my head, really? That's it? And I jogged down the court. Next time comes down the court, like, are you sure you got me? Are you sure? They throw me the ball. I put a move, another shot. By the third time down, his friends were laughing at him on the other team because they could hear the smack talk. But I could see as the night was going on that my smack talk had destroyed the young man. I had just meant it for a competition. I was just having fun. But I was having fun at someone else's expense. All of a sudden, my smack talk wasn't fun anymore, not even to me. It wasn't cute. I realized that I was affecting somebody else's life. At which point, I just completely laid off. Which is hard to do because I was really having a good night. But I really just kind of laid back. And tried to engage the young man and apologize. And he wouldn't have it. He didn't want to hear an apology. He didn't want to hear anything from her. Sometimes you can't get your words back. But you wish you could. I never talked smack in a game again. After that, I learned my lesson. Because that's how lessons are. You learn from them. You can't take things back. But you learn from them, and you move forward. You see, sometimes we don't realize that the things that we say have so much power over someone. That they have the power to direct, to move people. But they do. Your words are important, whether you think they are or not. People are listening to what you say. And your words are very, very important. I can remember when I talk to my children, now that they're grown, and sometimes we get into disagreements. And people start to say things that they don't want to say. And at that point, I have to draw a line. When I see things are getting out of hand, I'll tell them, choose your next words very, very wisely. And that's something we all need to do every time we speak. We need to be thinking about what we're saying and the effect of what those words are going to have on somebody. When we sit there and gossip, and I never really fully understood this whole gossip thing, there's an attraction to it, and I think it's America's favorite pastime. I really do. I mean, you see it everywhere. You go to a beauty parlor, there's people gossiping. Right, ladies? There's going to be somebody in there. It might not be you. You don't have to raise your hand and tell me it's you. There's going to be somebody in there telling about some story about somebody, right? And men, don't act innocent, because when you go to the barbershop, you talking too. All right, so we got it in the barbershop, we got it in the beauty parlor, we got it at any ball game you go to, we got it at any party where people are gathered in the kitchen talking. You stand in that line at the grocery store, what are you looking at? Inquirer magazine. What? Did you know that? So-and-so is having an affair with so-and-so. I didn't even know that. I can't wait to go and tell somebody. Because I read in the Inquirer, it's got to be true. It's got to be true. Now you don't even have to wait. You can get on the internet and start gossiping. I've seen people put stuff out there, I'm like, that is so, what? That's a lie. And people's like, I didn't know that. And they go to their site now. Did you know this? And I'm like, and the way people put it, but it's true. We love to gossip. And I don't know why, we just love to tell that story. Let me tell you something. Hear this very clearly. Gossip is a sin. Okay. Let me repeat it. Gossip is a sin. It destroys families. It destroys relationships. It destroys churches. It is a sin. It is not what God intended you to use your words for. Gossip is a sin. And we need to stop. And we need to stop talking about people. We need to stop listening to it. We need to walk away from it. If you're in a group of people and you can't change that conversation from gossip to something positive, then you just walk away. If you feel a need, because we have this need to use those 16,000 words a day. And if you feel the need to use those 16,000 words to tell a story about somebody else, tell the story of Jesus. That's a great story. Tell that story. You can gossip about Jesus. And if you want to embellish a little bit, that's okay. If you want to say he walked on water and carried a 20-pound knapsack, that's good. I'm okay with that. It doesn't matter. But do something positive. Make a positive change. Don't be part of the negative system that we have set up, where we try to bring each other down. The Bible tells us, encourage one another and build each other up. That's what we're supposed to do with our words. That's the way you're supposed to be using them each and every day when you encounter somebody. To encourage one another and build each other up. What a difference that would make in the world, wouldn't it? But instead, we hear in this passage too, James is talking about, on one hand, we sit there and we praise God, which is the ultimate use of your words in your mouth. And then we turn around and talk about people. People who are made in God's image. What a contradictory. Do you think that looks kind of hypocritical to the outside world? When you come in here and praise God and you go out there and praise the Lord, and you get out of the car, shut up, I don't want to talk to you. You're making me mad. How hypocritical does that get? Right? We got to get out of that. We got to get out of that rut. We need to be positive people. We have good news to spread. We need to encourage one another. The other thing that James hints at here is he talks about blessings and curses come out the same mouth. But we need to use our mouths to spread blessings. You know, words can be spoken, but they can also be written. When you wrote me those letters last week, that was encouraging. That lifted me up. That made my day. Each and every day I got, first day I got one, then I got 4, then I got 20 some, and then they came in different days. And each day, and each letter, and each note, and each colored picture by children was encouraging. Each and every one. Because they were done with love, and I know they were. And they were meant to encourage. And they were meant to show your appreciation. And I appreciate it. I truly did. And they served the purpose that you intended. They were very uplifting. But how much difference and how uplifting can we be if we use those type of words towards one another? What a difference we can make in someone's day. You see, because a word can make a day go bad, or a word can make a day go good. We've all encountered those people at work, right? You come in, you're having a good day. How you doing? Shut up. Oh, you're having that kind of day. I brought you a donut. Keep it. I don't care. What? A donut? Yeah. We've had those people, right? So good word, bad word. But what a difference your words make. How about with your spouse? How about if you said, dear, this food is really good. I really appreciate you taking this out of the box and heating it up. I really appreciate you cooking this. Or your children. I'm so proud of you. You must be proud of yourself. You really did a good job with that. Encouraging words. Words that lift up. Words that let your significant people and the people you run into know you care about. Or your coworker or an employee, thank you for doing that. I appreciate you doing outside the norm. Going that extra mile. Completing that task on time. I appreciate that. You did a good job. Those are encouraging words. And they're so simple. That's silly. That's simple. But words have such power. They have power to heal. They have power to lift up. They are so powerful. And each and every one of you possess an infinite number of words to use. They reflect what's inside you. So what's inside you? Is it good? Or is it evil? When people see you, they see you as a grumpy grouch. That's a Christian right there. I've never encountered her without her complaining. Do people avoid you because you complain so much? Because you never have anything positive to say? I hope not. I hope it's just the other. Let's go sit next to her. She's always got something positive to say. Lift me up. Let me hear it. Our words have such power. And though we can never take back those words that we talked about earlier in the day, those mistakes we've all made, and though we can never take those back, we can learn and go forward and vow to be a positive influence on those we encounter. That's what today's scriptures tell us. That the words have that kind of power. And we need to use them that way. I'm going to finish up here. There was a pastor who was walking along the sidewalk and he ran across his yard sale. There was a young boy there selling lawnmowers, push lawnmowers. And he walked up and he asked the young man, he says, does this mower work? And he said, yeah. He said, it works. He said, well, let me try it. So he reached down and he pulled, and he pulled, and he pulled, and he pulled. He said, son, this mower won't start. He said, this mower don't run. He goes, oh, it does. He said, you got to cuss it. He said, you cuss at it, it'll work. He said, man, I'm a preacher. I ain't cussed in 18 years. He said, well, keep pulling. It'll come back to you. If it's been a long time since you used your good words, keep trying. They'll come back to you. It may take a while. It may take some pull, but it will come back to you. I promise you. And it's important that you use those good words, that you encourage one another. Because, sticks and stones will break your bone, but words don't have to hurt people. That's up to us. And all God's people said,